Hello, neighbors, and welcome to Together as Neighbors, the podcast. Today we will be chatting with Noureen Badwi, the recent elected and youngest president in history of the Young Democrats of Maryland. We will discuss her story of getting involved in public service early in life, as well as youth involvement in government, politics, and of course, voting. Enjoy! Hello, Hyattsville, and welcome to Together as Neighbors, the podcast, where I interview folks involved with or are interested in the campaign for Jimmy for Hyattsville and Ward 3. Today, I have with us Noureen Badwi, who is the president of the Young Democrats of Maryland. She'll be talking to us today about her life story and how to get involved with politics, with government, with things that you're interested in and around the state. So, Noureen, how's it going?
It is good, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's your weekend been?
It has been good, very relaxing. So like you mentioned, I was just elected YDM president. And for those of you watching, Jimmy is actually a former Pride Caucus chair. So he came on when I was Women's Caucus chair and he was Pride Caucus and was one of the best caucus chairs I think YDM's ever had. He pretty much built up the Pride Caucus from nothing. So we were very good friends from that. So happy to be on this podcast and talk to all of you today.
Yes, thank you so much. And so I was involved with YDM, Young Democrats of Maryland, not too long ago, and looking forward to my next step in that. Like Noreen said, I'm no longer the Pride Caucus chair, but I'm hoping to be involved and see how I can continue to be involved. But that is all. A lot of that is Noreen's decision. So I'm excited to continue growing that relationship and helping throughout the state of Maryland. So cool. Well, Noureen, so like I said, we want to get to know a little bit about you today. So would you mind telling our listeners who you are and what is it that you're about?
Sure. So let's see. My name is Noureen. I was born in Egypt and we came to America in 2006. So I started with my education. I was very advantageous as a kid. And ended up like taking a bunch of like AP classes, very young, and like college courses. Ended up graduating high school early and also serving as a student member of the Maryland State Board of Education. So I was a board member on the state school board. And then I also got involved in like the Young Democrats of Maryland very early. When I was like 16. I'm now one of the youngest president in history at YDM, which is sort of the acronym for Young Democrats of Maryland. And so all that I'm really about is like policy and ways that government can make people's lives better and improve people's lives, because I think fundamentally that's what government should be about. I'll probably end up like going to law school and continuing to be involved in public policy in some capacity, but that's sort of how I am generally. It's just really, really interested in government for whatever reason, not so much politics, but public service. If you get my drift, and I think municipal politics is really important as well. So I've always been super stoked that Jimmy decided to go this route. I was so excited when he first told me he was running. And I hope you guys also come out for him, because he always comes out for us with everything. Very reliable, very great guy. I know this is not supposed to be a campaign speech right now for Jimmy, but big fan of Jimmy McClellan. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, I told Noreen before we started, I said, this doesn't have to be about the campaign. This is about getting to know folks, but I do appreciate it. And Noreen was one of the first people I told when I was thinking about running, because we had been involved in a more governmental political organization where she knew what I was about, knew what I was trying to advocate for. So I appreciate you adding that to the story. But Noreen, we know, you're obviously involved in Young Democrats of Maryland, which means you're young. And I'm wondering what it is. You talked about getting involved really early in life. What was it that kind of sparked that interest in politics and government for you? How did you get involved to the level that you're at now? Because you're 18, is that correct?
yeah.
Yeah, right. So talk a little bit about that.
This is a really good question, and we've never actually talked about this. So when I was in the 7th grade, so I'm like, I don't know if you know this either, Debbie. I'm like 5'8", pretty tall. I've always been really tall growing up, like was the tallest person in elementary, middle school, whatever. and just like looked much older. And so I remember this one day I got dress coded in middle school because my shorts are apparently a little bit too short. And it's not like I was intentionally doing this. I just had very long arms, very long legs, whatever. And so I was so upset. I'm like, they're objectifying me. And I'm like, it's not my fault that I'm like a distraction to other people. I would spend like hours trying to, this is such a random story, hours trying to find shorts that were long enough for school, and I could never find any. And I just was so frustrated. And I remember telling my principal, I was like, I feel like we need to revise our dress code so it has more consistent standards for what is and isn't appropriate. And also so that the entire dress code is not geared towards women and what cannot be a distraction towards men. Like, I don't think this is right fundamentally. So then I got involved with SGA because of this experience, and then rewrote the entire dress code, got a bunch of other students in on it. Our principal was totally on board. The dress code at Dunbarton Middle School was still the one that I did like 5 or so years ago when I was in middle school. And then I got involved in SGA, and then I started serving on the PTSA for our school because the PTSA held all this money, and in Baltimore County, you can't really fundraise for your middle school. Like, your SGA can't really fundraise on its own. So we would ask for the money from the PTSA. And so I became like the student member of the Dunbarton Middle School PTA, which is funny because then I later became the student member of the like state school board later on. So representing much more students later on. But it was literally, and I feel a lot of people have these stories where like there's something with like government or like their education that just like spark their interest in like wanting to change a policy or like a law or a rule. And so for me, it was like literally the dress code in 7th grade. So that's sort of my story there.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I'm glad I'm hearing that for the first time now. It's powerful, the things that happen at a young age that help us realize the power that we have and the power that the agency we have to be able to make change in our world. And I think that yeah, exactly like you were saying, that starts for a lot of us in the school system. That's great. I'm so glad you shared that. So one thing, pivoting a little bit, in thinking about folks who, listeners out there, maybe they're in Hyattsville, maybe they're around Maryland somewhere, maybe 16, 17, 18 years old as well. They're looking to find that outlet to get involved with government, make change, politics, whatever it is. How might one go about getting involved in YDM if they're looking, if they feel like they're a young Democrat? How might they go about doing that?
Sure. So the sort of formal answer is you can hit us up on any type of social media, and our website will have some more robust information about membership and outreach. As far as my general advice with anything getting involved, like you don't know unless you ask. So I remember so many times getting like really nervous when I was younger, and I'm sort of targeting like my younger folks might be listening, about getting involved, and like I don't know what to do, and like maybe they won't respond. Like the amount of times like cold outreach has landed me like a really great internship or a job or like something with a campaign I really loved. So if there's any capacity that you guys want to be involved in YDM, anything that you're really good at, you think you would bring in the organization, or if you just want to be involved in events, please reach out anytime. And if there's ever any political opportunities outside of YDM, maybe a campaign you want to be involved with or something else that you don't really know how to go about it, feel free to reach out to us as well. And we'll be happy to connect you guys to the right places. But yeah, so we're happy to take sort of every Democrat under 36 in the state of Maryland. So everyone's welcome in YDM for sure.
Great. Yes. And just to put that website out there, ydmaryland.org. That's right, Noureen?
Yep, that is right.
So ydmaryland.org if you want to find out more. There's actually a brand new website just a few months ago launched. So looks wonderful. And similar story to what Noureen was saying. That's exactly how I got involved in YDM a little over a year ago. I saw that there was an opening for a position online, had absolutely no experience working with this type of organization besides working on some campaigns in my college town. So the organization is very welcoming of all levels of expertise, which go from having absolutely no experience and wanting to get some to having worked on multiple campaigns or interned on the Hill. So there are many ways to get involved, and this organization is welcoming to everyone, as I can attest as somebody with not too much experience prior to getting involved with YDM. So great, thank you. So these podcasts are short, and really what we want to do is highlight the folks that we're interviewing. So Noureen, something I ask everyone who joins me on Together as Neighbors, the podcast, is who inspires them or what inspires them. So I'm wondering if you have an answer to that.
So it changes by the day, but recently I've been feeling really, and this is kind of like typical, right? But I've been feeling very inspired by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because I think so. My election, for so many people that might not be super familiar with it, was a very contentious one. Two opposing slates, and it was one of the more competitive YDM elections in several decades. So, when you get involved in politics as a woman, and particularly as a woman of color and an immigrant, sort of changes how you think about certain things, and you sort of don't really realize how strong you have to be and how focused you have to be until you're in there, right? And so sort of been feeling really inspired by AOC's strength, and sort of wanting to move things the way that she wants to do them, but also sort of sticking to her core and her values a lot. So very much like a trailblazing powerhouse on the Hill that I've looked up to for a while. So she's a big one. I mean, Sonia Sotomayor, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, even Speaker Pelosi. So I usually am pretty drawn to women who are in strong, powerful positions that really had to work to get there, because it's definitely not easy. So.
Well, thank you for sharing. I those are people I look up to as well. I think what you're talking about trailblazers. I appreciate the work that you're doing as well. I look up to you, Noureen, believe it or not. And
I look up to you more.
Stop. So I'm so excited to see the work that you do in YDM. I'm very much looking forward to being involved with your administration in whatever capacity I can be in the future. I think that there's a lot of great things on the precipice here in Maryland that the youth voice is going to be very valuable with. So I'm excited to help out. And anybody listening, please connect with me or Noureen. I'll be sure to put her contact information in the caption of anything I post this on Instagram, YouTube, etc. But otherwise, thank you so much, Noureen, for stopping by today. It was wonderful having you.
Sure. And everyone, please vote Jimmy for Hyattsville City Council Ward 3. I know you're saying this is not to hype you up, but I find that I'm always hyping you up to anyone I know in the Prince George's County or Hyattsville area and reminding them to vote for you. So,
well, it is always appreciated. So I'm very, very thankful, Noureen. So, I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you all for listening. If you are looking to get involved with YDM, again, that email address is not email. That website is ydmaryland.org. And if you're looking to get involved in a local campaign, if you live in or around Hyattsville, I would love to have you support in any way you would feel comfortable, especially our young folks in Hyattsville. Remember that 16 and 17-year-olds are allowed to vote in city elections in Hyattsville, which is wonderful and so progressive and on the cutting edge of municipal politics around the country. So don't lose your voice in this election. You have power in your vote. So if you are looking to get involved, www.jimmyforhyattsville.com. You can shoot me an email. I would love to speak with you. So thank you all for listening today to Together as Neighbors, the podcast. And until next time, have a good one.